running out of memory here. Yes, it's Thursday morning. Good morning. Good morning. Once again, here we are. I'm still in New York. I think my daughter thinks I'm never going to leave, but I am. But for the moment, I'm still in New York. Still relegated to the bedroom, to my grandson's bedroom. So, anyway. So first of all, I'd like to say good morning to all of you. I would like to say good morning to my spirit guide, who is, as always, standing to my right side. And I'd also like to say good morning to you, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And how are you this morning, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing great. We were walking in 12-degree weather in a blinding snowstorm this morning.
Oh, I know. You showed me. I was actually, for everybody's benefit, I was actually on FaceTime with Chris, and she said, let me show you. It was cold and bleak and snowy, and even though I was in a nice warm place, it still made me shiver. uh, because you're all the way up in Vermont, aren't you? So it truly is winter. But in New York City, although it's cold here, we haven't had any of that snow or ice or any of that stuff. And I am hoping, I have to be honest, I'm hoping to leave New York before the snow really gets here. So so anyway, Chris, so what do we have this morning?
Do you mean for people that are on?
Is there any? Wait a minute. My favorite phrase of all time. Is there anybody there? Is there
Oh, you
anybody there,
do.
Chris?
You have a lot of people on, but no questions yet.
Okay. All right. Excuse me. So, I had a very interesting week this week. I'm not going to say too much about it because really it's something that actually Chris organized and asked me to go along to speak. Well, I say go along to speak. We all know that everything is remote uh, in this moment. Um, First of all, I had a very interesting morning this morning because I was in charge of my grandson while my daughter was in a meeting, and he's a remote school, and he couldn't get in, and he couldn't get in, and he couldn't get in, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the future. Children not being educated because either the internet's down or there's some glitch somewhere or another. Anyway, it turned out that nobody in the school could get into whatever it was they were supposed to get into. So they figured out another way, and he's now back at school. To me, look, I'm the older generation. To me, it's like living in some sort of weird futuristic time to our kids. It's just natural. It's just a normal part of life. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I had a very interesting week because I was asked to go and speak to a few people who Chris had organised that, and I'm not sure that everybody else had a good time. I'm never sure if anybody else is having a good time, but I had a fabulous time. Chris, did you have a good time?
I have to tell you, and I'm sure everybody who's listening will agree, that if they ever have an opportunity to sort of sit in your presence and see you do work, it's really astonishing. Now, I've been around you for 20 years, so I shouldn't say it's astonishing, but each and every time I'm with you, it's astonishing because the insights you bring to people's challenges and you watch their faces light up with sort of an aha or a knowing or something that resonates. And then they can take that information back with them to make changes in their lives for the better. I find that astonishing.
Well, look, I've been doing this, Chris, this meaning, my stuff, for over 40 years. Yeah, is that right?
I think so.
Something like that. Oh gosh, that makes me so old, doesn't it? Anyway, not that that really matters,
So
but
wise, not old.
so wise. No, so old and sort of wise. But I don't think it matters how long you're around this subject. Uh, there are always surprises. There are always those aha moments. I mean, people think that, because I've been doing this for so long, that perhaps I'm jaded. Or, when you do something for so long, it's easy, isn't it, to become bored with what you're doing, or to become jaded with what you're doing. Or people think, well, I've seen it all before. So, or I've heard that all before. But in fact, my days, every time I speak to someone, uh, I learn something. I either learn something about my own self, or I learn something about somebody else, or I learn something about human nature. And there are those moments in my life. I'm so fortunate. There's those moments in my life when I still have to catch my breath. I still have to sort of have those wow, truly, truly wow moments. And but going back to this, I'm not, Chris, it's not for me to say anything about what we did this week, but uh, there was one person in your group who had to make me smile. Um, she said, "I've been around. I've seen many healers. I've been around many healers. I've heard many people talking. I've heard many people like you talking." Um, except that I've never met anybody like you, and I've never heard anybody say anything like you're saying, and I've never ever had this kind of experience before. And it makes me smile, because there are so many people who have that interaction with me, and they scratch their heads because I'm not what people perhaps perceive somebody like myself should be. Does that make sense to you, Chris? I'm odd or different or whatever that is, but I am not what some people might expect for me to be.
Well, I know what this individual said was, what a gift you were, that you're
Well,
different than any other healer she's ever met, so practical and common sense.
I wasn't going to go as far as the gift.
Well, that's what they thought of you, Rosemary.
It makes me sound, I'm like the gift that keeps on giving. It's like, am I the gift that keeps on giving?
I think
um,
you are.
but to me, it is such a gift, um, that people can see past uh, what is expected of somebody like myself, and and I do try to go with people. Of course, I have grey eagle, so I'm able to do this. We go deeper, we go further, we go wider, we go, you know what I'm saying, we sort of go uh, beyond perhaps what people usually expect us to be. And I did have one of the greatest compliments also this week. So I've had a good week this week. One of the greatest compliments was, I was talking to a lovely lady who I know really very well by now, and her son was ill for many years, and then just recently in the last month he passed. And she herself is a therapist, and in her country, the rules and the regulations, the laws and the training are very different. I think perhaps more rigorous than maybe a lot of the training we experience here in the US and also in the UK, I think. Um, but we were talking about how when we talk to people and when I give people messages, it is not my job to tell you what to do. It is not my job to live your life for you. What part of my job is to help you to understand what is going on, and then to help you to make your own decisions about your life. Somebody will call up and they'll say, look, I've been offered 2 jobs, which one shall I take? And what I try to do is I give them the fors and againsts of both jobs, of both situations, and then, hey, it's over to you. I'm not responsible for your life. You're responsible for your own life. And we were talking about this, and she actually said to me, Rosemary, over all of the years that I've known you, she said, my greatest wish is to be like you. she didn't mean to talk to dead people. I think what she meant was to try to be responsible with the work that she was doing, to try to be responsible, to try to be understanding, and to try to sort of emulate all that is positive and powerful, but also that is sort of very about common sense and keeping your feet on the ground. And I think that people do find that a little strange for someone like me, because I am a very, very, very common sense kind of a person. Keep your feet on the ground. Let's not get too airy fairy about this, all of this stuff, shall we? Keep your feet on the ground, because that way, when you keep your feet on the ground, you do come to some understanding of the truth of things. What's your opinion to what I just said, Chris?
I have always found you to be, feet firmly planted on the ground, full of common sense. But the way you phrase things allows us to have that aha moment, or to look at it from a different perspective so we can pull it from ourselves. So that's what we all need. We don't need the airy fairy stuff.
So I'm going to want you to be really honest now, because it has been said, and I know myself, that I can be brutally honest. I do have the, the iron fist in the velvet glove. So I try to be brutally honest with people, but I also try to put those brutally honest moments into a form that people can take without being offended, without being hurt. But I also think that sometimes honesty, there's no point mucking around with this stuff. If you're not going to be honest with people, how can you possibly help them? And when I say to people, look, I can tell you what to do, but you're the one who's got to do the work, it sort of puts the onus right back on them. And a lot of people they just want the quick fix. They want somebody to tell them what to do. Do you think I'm brutally honest at times, Chris? I'm laughing because I know you've been on the receiving end.
Well, let's use the keyword hot seat. Yes, I have been in the hot seat before, but I'm gonna couch that with, I've been in, so many of your lessons personally, but I have also seen you with the students, with the people in the audiences, and sometimes you are so gentle that it makes me want to cry. So you have the knack, the skill, the insight, the help to know how to approach a person in the way that they will receive the information that they need to hear. And as you have said many times, I'm one of your tougher students. So if I get it tough, it's because that must be the way I needed it.
All right. Let's see. Do we have any? Am I making you all nervous now? Are you? Are some of you afraid to approach me because you're afraid of my brutal honesty? Uh, I am very gentle, mostly. Anyway,
You should hear a bunch of comments, Rosemary. I'm going to
come
read
on
you a
in.
bunch
Let's
of
go for it.
comments. So, Marike says, that's great. What's the use otherwise regarding honesty? Sherry says, I love the honesty. Paula says, brutally honest is much better than false hope. Robin says, correct. Well spoken. Yes, that's the way it needs to be. Honesty. Amy says, continue to be honest. The world needs more truth. See, I know there's a couple others here. Rosa says, you are the nicest person I know. You are amazing.
Not really.
Patricia says, you're an incredible lady. Barb says, you are the gift that keeps on giving. Mary says, she's agreeing with me. Rosemary's work is astonishing. Yes, you are the gift. So there's a whole bunch of people out there, Rosemary, that if you ever have a bad day, come back to this video and read it, because it will make you feel very good.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. But I do think that it is important for us to understand, uh, that when you come to see somebody like myself, what happens when we do that is we put all of our trust and all of our faith in that person. And it is so easy to believe, or to buy into what someone like myself might tell you. And again, I think we did have, and again, it was this last week, Chris, in your group, we had somebody who said that they'd been to see, or that someone they knew had been to see a medium, using that term loosely, who had said to her that she needed to leave her husband, and she would be much better off without him, and she would then be able to get on with her life, because being in the relationship with her husband was holding her back. The fact that the relationship with her husband was perfectly fine, really, really good, in fact. And the poor husband had to talk her down for, no, you don't need to leave me. We can do this together. We can work at this together. And it is not the first time, nor will it unfortunately be the last time, that people will come to see me who, in fact, have had really, really, really bad advice. Just because, somebody is psychic or spiritual, or just because somebody says they're a medium, does not make them necessarily right. So I do caution all of you out there, and this is why I do try to sort of say to people, look, it is not my role. I've never ever said to a client, you need to get out of this relationship that you're in. But what I've said rather is, well, let's think about the relationship they're in. How do you feel? What do you think are the issues, and how can you improve yourself? And usually, I try to initially, of course, I try to see if there are ways either that my client can change their attitude, because often they can, and how they can perhaps better understand their spouse. Or this is why I'm sort of, we've come all the way full circle around here to soul signs, because what soul signs does, and what soul signs educates us to do, is to actually understand that each of us is a certain type of energy, and that certain type of energy is more compatible with another type of energy than another type of energy. So when you know your own soul sign, when you know your own type of energy, then you will absolutely learn and understand the compatibility issue. Why do you and your spouse always argue over the most ridiculous things? Why do you keep falling, for the same old line? And here we are, third divorce. And how come you can't get it right? What other questions? Let me see. Why do you get on with your father, but you and your mother have this awful, awful situation going on between you? Everything is about energy. It's all about energy, and it's about compatibility. So not only do we learn through soul signs, we not only learn about the compatibility, the most important uh, things that we need to learn about our spouse, our children, our family, our brothers, sisters, and our friends. In a working environment, it's really important to understand, I think, about soul signs, because you really can understand how come you really get on with this person, but you really, really cannot, no matter how much you try, get on with that person. So not only does it teach you the whys of that, it also teaches you what you can do and how you can make things better by understanding where another person is coming from, where you can understand that person's energy, what makes them tick, what makes them react in certain ways. All of a sudden, you have much more understanding and much more awareness of your own energy and how it affects others, but how other people's energy affects you too. Right, Chris. I don't know where we are today. We're all over the place.
Well, everyone is definitely appreciating the fact that they can trust that you're going to be honest with them, even if they have been in what I label the hot seat. Cheryl says, I may have been on the receiving end here, sometimes brings tears to my eyes, but later I think about it and I get better insight.
Mm.
And
Yeah, the
Sherry
hot.
says something similar.
Sorry, go on, Chris. Carry on.
I was going to say, Sherry says something similar. She said, I've had that happen to me before. Ruth Ann says, I adore you, beautiful Rosemary, and respect your honesty. And Sherry says, how do I know my type of energy? How do I learn this?
Well, we are having a seminar at the end of February. I think it's the last weekend in February. Did we decide,
Yes. Yes,
Chris?
the 27th and 28th,
There
Saturday and
you are.
Sunday.
So we're having a two-part seminar in the mornings. We thought we did consider doing it all in one day, which would be fine because I've done many seminars. But then I thought maybe you'd like to sort of take a break and think about what we're saying. So we're going to be doing it in two parts. So we're doing Saturday morning and Sunday morning. If you want to know more about soul signs, go to our website or write to the office, write Chris, Kris, Chris at rosemaryaltea.com, and we'll let you have more information and we'll point you in the right direction of finding out more information. Um, Soul science is, it, it sounds, as I'm talking about it, as we're talking about it, it sounds a lot like astrology. It actually is um, not like astrology at all. It goes much deeper, much further, and it's sort of it's not so much insights into the universal energy, which I mean it's all tied together, isn't it? But soul science is not so much about the universal energy which can affect us. It's much more about and centers much more on our own inner energy, that energy that our soul was created from. I mean, how was, to think about this, how was your soul created? Every soul is created, and every soul is created from certain types or certain pockets of energy. And that's why we're doing this webinar. We thought it would be good to have it in February because, after all, Valentine's Day, my grandson's birthday, lots of things happen in February. So we thought we'd have to sort of round off February and all of the aspect of loving relationships. So many people on Valentine's Day will be disappointed. Either they can't be with their love of their life because of COVID or whatever else is happening in the world, or they haven't yet found the love of their life and they really, really want to. And that's, so we thought soul signs is that experience, that explanation, that knowledge and that understanding of how do we know what we're most compatible with, who we're most compatible with, what kind of energy are we most compatible with. And to give you a little tiny taste, tiny taste, I'm an earth sign. Remember, I'm not talking astrology. I'm an earth sign. And in soul signs, very much like astrology, because after all, again, the universe and universal energy is very compatible. We have earth signs, water signs, we have air signs, fire signs, but we also have sulfur signs. Yes, we do. See, we've added a little dimension to all of this. So, you know, what actual pocket of energy was your soul created from? And what does that mean to you? What does it mean? What energy drives you from within? And so I'm an earth sign, and which means that I am one of those awful people. I've got to have a plan. Even if the plan is to not have a plan for the day, I've still got to have a plan for the day. So the plan might be to do this show, or the plan might be um, I'm not going to do anything today, or the plan might be I'm going to be in the kitchen cooking today. And being an earth sign, I would, generally speaking, follow up on the plan, always following up on the plan. But when I wake up first thing in the morning, one of the first things I think is, what's the plan for today? And if you are one of those people, it's potential, you are potentially an earth sign. My least compatible energy is a fire sign. And it happens that my mother is a fire sign. So can you imagine? Fire scorches. Fire scorches earth. Earth can put out a fire like that. See, we are so incompatible. We don't drive each other to be more. We drive each other to be, well, extinguished. So anyway, so these are the kinds of things that you're going to learn. You're going to learn about your own energy, your own type of energy, and you're also going to learn what energies are most compatible with you and why. And oh, let me think. What if you are, and I don't know if Jeff's on this morning, but Jeff comes to mind. What if you are a fire sign and you're married to an earth sign, and so you're bound to have those moments of scorching and suffocating and all of that. What can I do to fix it? How can I make it better? And the realization of knowing that this happens makes you more understanding of your partner, and it makes you more understanding of your own self. That's just a taste. I don't think I need to say any more, do I, Chris?
No, I think you're fine. Plus, you've got a lot of people now pairing up with questions if you're ready for any of those.
Go.
Okay. Going back up to the top of the list here. Janet says, I'm struggling with school right now. Will I make it through?
Oh, Janet. Well, I can see, I'm listening to Grey Eagle, who has put his hand on my shoulder here. And I'm seeing that part of the struggle is that you're doubting your own self and your own capabilities. But there's a part of a struggle which has to do with relationships and sort of your mind being pulled away or dragged away from what you're supposed to be focusing on, or what you'd more like to be focusing on. But Gregor tells me you're an extremely determined young lady. So look, just do the best you can do, which is actually exceptional. Learn to trust that you'll do the best that you can do. You will get some glitches. Life is full of glitches, but without a doubt, you're strong enough and powerful enough within your own self to move forward. So I'm going to say, try not to worry. Try not to let other people and other people's situations and family situations, try not to let those things distract you. Because truthfully, whatever situation is going on now, within 5 years, it'll be disappeared. And if you allow it to distract you and move you away from your goal, then, you're going to suffer in the long run. Everybody else is going to be fine and things are going to be sorted out, but you'll be the one who will be wishing, oh gosh, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd been more focused on that. You can do it. Don't doubt it. Chris.
Jessica just wants to let you know she's read all of your books, especially The Eagle and the Rose.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. I hope you like them. If you read them all, I think you must have, mustn't you? Because, you had to like the first one to read the next one and so on and so forth. So thank you. Yes, Chris.
Mark from Tulsa's on.
Hello, Mark from Tulsa. Yes, you are, in fact, the only Mark from Tulsa that we know.
He says, it's been tough here. I lost my friend Juanita to COVID. I sent her healing. However, God needed her home for whatever reasons. She was, I believe, Choctaw Indian, and with Grey Eagle's help, can you and he share some insights for me from her? It was a horrible shock. Know you are loved.
I'm hearing one word, just one word from Grey Eagle, which I think hopefully, Mark, will reassure you. That word is safe. She's safe. Again, the word safe. She is safe. So please try not to worry too much. And also, I do feel, and again from Grey Eagles, she's where she's meant to be, which I know you know that. When we lose someone, it's so hard, even though we know and we believe that they are where they're meant to be. We're the ones who are left, wishing and hoping, and if only I'd done something different, and if only this, and if only that. So you've got to stop with the if onlys, Mark. You've got to give yourself a break and know that she's safe. Okay, Chris.
Starshine says her sister Jan's birthday is today. She would be 65. Does she have any messages?
Is what is that would be? Is and oh, that's something about coffee cake is what I'm hearing. I don't, maybe she's asking. Coffee cake is not a usual request. Most people don't like coffee cake, but I'm to tell you, make a coffee cake. Maybe you already did make a coffee cake, but make a cake and celebrate the birthday because she is still, and hopefully you'll celebrate the birthday with her, my lovely. Yes, Chris.
Beth says, hello, it's been a while. I haven't been on Facebook. You remember I lost my daughter at 18, 4 years ago.
Yes.
Will the pain get any better? Because I feel her around me so much. So my question is, I know it's been 4 years. Is she still with me? Or do spirits stay that long with us?
Um, Beth, first of all, that my heart goes out to you. The worst, I think, for me anyway, the worst kind of loss must be the loss of a child. Um, Let me think. Let me answer you carefully, because for each person who asks this question, the answer might be a little different. Our loved ones in the spirit world, they don't stay with us 24/7. They come and they go, they visit. Uh, and I believe, and I'm checking with Grey Eagle, so I know that your daughter she's never going to stop visiting with you. She might sort of take a break for a day or two, but she's always going to pop in and check on you and make sure that you're okay. As for the pain, we talked earlier about honesty, about brutal honesty. So I say this to you in the gentlest and the most loving of ways. You will never, the pain will never be less. It will never be less. Some days it will be worse. Some days it will be unbearable. And yet you will bear it. What happens when we lose someone who is this dear to us is the pain does not lessen, but our ability to deal with the pain, our ability to deal with the loss, our ability to get up in the mornings and get going despite the pain, our ability to become stronger through the pain becomes more and more. So although you are now, and you can see this, that this is happening to you, you are not debilitated by what has happened. You are able to move, you are able to get going in the mornings. Sometimes you're able to get on with your life. The pain sits there, it is deep within you, and it will always stay with you. But your ability to deal with it, your ability to um, accept it, your ability to absorb it, and your ability to use it in a positive way will increase and increase as the time goes on. I was talking again, I'm coming back to this group that I was with this week. Um, it's an interesting thing when I say that pain is our greatest gift. And it's so unfair of me to say that to you, and it seems so unfair that Gregor would say it to me, and it's so unfair that our angels say to us that our pain is our greatest gift. But through our pain we learn, through our pain we become more empathetic, through our pain we become more understanding of others, through our pain we can learn, and we can reach out and we can understand the pains of others, which makes us better people, makes us nicer people, makes us kinder people. So, as much as you would love the pain to go away, the pain is also there for you to absorb, to use, and to make you, uh, in so many ways, a better person, a kinder person. And I think you know this. So, when I say to you, it won't get, the pain won't get less, but your ability to deal with it will get more and more and better and better. Please know that I'm coming from a place of gentleness to give you that message. Yes, Chris.
Paula's asking for prayers for her adorable cat, Sean. He's such a fighter, but a fragile creature, and he deserves to live safe.
Definitely prayers. We should definitely put him in our healing book. But, and you most of you know that this is something that has happened to me in the last uh, few days, or oh, actually 2 weeks. Um, I believe that my lovely little boy, Cachorro, is living safe. And sometimes, as pet owners, we have to make that decision because it is our responsibility. We had them, we chose them, although in this case he chose me. But you know what I'm saying, all of you out there who have your beloved little pets. Um, Sometimes we have to do what is for us the worst thing in the world. And it certainly was the worst thing for me. Sitting on the bed with Cachorro and holding him and knowing that I was going to lose him very, very soon, imminently, was the worst thing in the world for me. But didn't I just say that pain is our greatest teacher? And so we all of us have to go through that pain. It depends what we use the pain for afterwards. It depends how we deal with the pain. It depends how we share our pain with others. So living safe does not mean necessarily staying on this earth. So when I send healing to your beautiful little pussy, when I send my healing prayers, know that those prayers will be used in a way that is right, not for you necessarily, but certainly for our pets, certainly for your pets, certainly for those who are in need. And I will sometimes say to people, you're asking me for my prayers to heal. Healing is not just about curing a disease or curing a situation so that we can continue to live on this earth with our beloveds. Um, Sometimes healing takes place in the form of letting go, letting God, and allowing our pets the freedom to live again in a way that is pain free. Yes, Chris.
Betta's on.
Good morning, Better.
Hi, Rosemary. My son Simone, 21 years old, hasn't found a job for a year. He's demoralized. The COVID in Italy has created so much crisis. Does Gray Eagle see a job for him in the future? Thank you.
Um, well, thank you, darling. You say, does Grey Eagle see a job for him in the future? Well, we don't suppose that he's never going to have a job for the rest of his life. We suppose at some point that COVID will get better. We'll suppose at some point that life for all of us will get better. So I do see the future being much more positive for him. However, I'm not, because I am brutally honest, we just decided I'm not going to be as nice to him as I think you're being, because I think he could try harder. And believe you me, that is not a criticism, and I am not being harsh, but I'm trying to encourage him. Look in different places. Stop looking only in, stop having sort of, tunnel vision. Um, you know, an airline pilot who's out of work, only looking at jobs for airline pilots, is going to be disappointed. if you have a vision of, this tunnel vision of what you want, and you don't explore other avenues, then you're going to make it harder for yourself. You're narrowing the field. And I think that this young man is far more capable of, sort of, let's say, diversifying than he gives himself credit for. So if I were his mummy, I would be giving him a little push and saying, let's go outside of this. Let's see what else is out there. It might be something outside of his comfort zone, but that's not a bad thing. And I think that if he does this, I think that he will be quite pleasantly surprised at what he finds, and how he'll be able to help himself much more. Um, Please let us know better how he does, would you? And give him that little push. Right, Chris.
Haya is on, wondering, will I get my house back?
This is far too complicated an issue to just give a few minutes to. However, that the one thing that I can help say to you is, you need to stop looking back and start looking forward to see what is in your future. Sometimes we lose something, which the Buddhists have this fabulous saying, and of course can't remember the exact thing, but it's basically, they 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 find a field, they live in the field, they stay in the field, they take from the field whatever it is that they want to take, and then when it's time to move on, they move on and they find another field, or they find another place where they can also be, you know where they can fulfill their lives. I can remember many, many years ago, I remember losing my house. It was actually taken away from me, believe you me, by my husband, who had another job, and I didn't want to leave, and I had all my friends, and on we go. And I can remember at the last moment holding onto the doorframe of that house, absolutely distraught, because I did not want to leave. And the next several months, in fact, the next year, were miserable for me, because all I could think of was what I had lost and what I didn't have anymore. When I stopped thinking like that, when I moved forward and thought, well, no, we're never going to get that again. I actually went back there to this place and realized that within that year, I had grown so much more. My goals were different, my needs, my wants were different, and I was able to look at what I had in a very different, what I used to have in a very different light. So that's what I'm going to suggest to you. Start moving forward. What we think we love, what we think we cannot do without, it's amazing how when we let go of what we think we can't do without, we move forward and we discover new things and new experiences. Chris.
All right. 2 comments related to the honesty comments from earlier.
Yes.
Robin says, you can lead a horse to water, although you can't make it drink.
Oh, it's so true.
Sharing your insights honestly is a given. And Mark says, truth is essential to learning, Rosemary. If we are not honest with life, life will not be honest with oneself.
It's true. But I do have to say, although we're here and most of us understand all of this, don't we? When somebody speaks honestly to you, you're not always prepared for it, and so many people don't actually like it because they would prefer to live in ignorance. We know that too. So I do believe that we should always be honest. Somebody asked me the other week, about, because I'm always, as I've told you all before, I'm a big proponent of, if you see something bad happening, step in and say something, if you can. But if you're putting yourself in danger, of course, then call someone who can change the situation. Call the police, call 911, do something like that. But if you are going to say something to someone about their behavior, or if you do feel that you should step in, you don't have to do it brutally. I may be brutally honest, but again, the iron fist in the kid glove always works for me. So when you're approaching people, do it gently, do it lovingly, do it kindly. Remember, Great Eagle says our world needs gentleness, and I think that that's what we also always should strive towards. So but you see, if you do it too gently, people aren't going to listen. And if you do it too brutally, people are going to take offense. There is a fine line here, but I do appreciate your comments. Let's keep going, Chris.
Adrian's asking for help. Will my eczema on my hands ever get better? It's an ongoing thing, and I have tried mostly everything. My insurance has denied this one medication, and I'm just lost.
Well, again, I would love to know more about you, but off the top of my head here, uh, let me go back. I had I had a patient when I was in England, and we I would go to the healing center on a regular basis. We had a patient who was covered from head to toe. He had bouts. Sometimes it was worse, sometimes it was better, but it was always apparent that he had skin issues on his face, all over his body, on his hands. It was not a pleasant thing to look at, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, and I'm thinking of my one of my oldest and most darling of patients who happens to be an undertaker. And John, if you're listening, so uh, and he also had really severe eczema. So um, so without knowing you, without seeing you, without understanding you, eczema can be the result of anxieties, but it also can very much be determined by what you're eating. So I'm going to say to you, nothing, absolutely nothing, 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 and I mean nothing from the cow. And any dairy that has to do with the cow. Now, that doesn't mean you can't eat, anything from the goat or anything soy products or whatever. Um, but nothing, nothing, nothing from the cow. And I had another patient of mine whose little son was absolutely covered from head to toe in this horrible skin disease. So when I would sit with him and I would talk to the parents, and they listened and they nodded and so on, but it wasn't getting any better. And then one day I sat with her and I said, I don't quite understand why this isn't getting any better, because I knew that this was the issue. Talk me through what he has in the mornings, would you? So she said, well, he has a yogurt for breakfast. Yogurt, as you say in America, has a yogurt for breakfast. I'm thinking, she's like, so I said, and is that made from goat's milk? So she said, oh no, but he loves his yogurt, and we give him one every morning. He has one every morning for his breakfast. And I said to her, what don't you understand about nothing from the cow? So she said, well, he doesn't have any butter or cream or meat and so think carefully what it is that you're eating. If you, we certainly will put you, if you'd like us to, we'll certainly put you in our healing book. Do not expect, if you try this, do not expect it to work immediately, because it won't. This stuff has got to come out of your system. But every time you have a little drink of milk, it will flare. Every time you have a little bit of cream or cheese, anything from the cow. Have you tried it? If you've tried it, let me know and we'll figure something else out. But that is my instant, off the top of my head, remedy for you. I have seen it work miraculously. Also for people who suffer with arthritis, people who suffer with rheumatoid arthritis, the cow can be our deadly enemy. So anything from the cow whatsoever, try that. Give it a few weeks. If you don't see improvement in a few weeks, well, but I have seen people who have done this. They have, 6 months later, things are starting to improve with them. Then they go and have a glass of milk, and bingo, the whole thing is completely undone. So you can eat the goat, you can eat goat's cheese, goat's milk, you can eat all of that. I would love to know if you've tried this, because, and anybody out there with skin issues or rheumatoid arthritis issues, anything like that, please try this first. Check with your doctor. I always say check with your doctor, but there's no, I mean, all I'm saying to you is don't eat from the cow. So there's no harm done there whatsoever, and every advantage of things getting better. I'm so sorry for how distressed you must be, because I know that, one little blemish can send some people, to running for this cream or that cream. So I do feel for you, but this is one of those things. Nobody else can do it for you. You're the one who's got to be determined enough to not eat anything, drink anything, or even taste a little bit of anything from the cow. Chris.
Robin's asking for some guidance on a relationship situation, but that's all she said. Or he said,
Well,
I can't tell.
I'm going to point you in the direction of of our webinar, because in the webinar you'll learn all there is to learn about why, how, what a relationship should be, why a relationship is potentially failing, what your expectations are, and so on and so forth. Yes, Chris, let's keep going.
Gwenda says far too many weekend courses are talking about becoming psychic, becoming a medium, etc. I see this as a leading issue in the poor standards which have people receiving bad readings.
What can I tell you? Me too. Let me explain something to all of you. You will never, ever see a course where I tell you I too can teach you to be like me, because it's not going to happen. I don't believe that mediumship is something that you can actually teach, certainly not in a weekend course. I think you can teach people to become more sensitive. You can teach people to become more aware. You can teach people to become more in tune with their sixth sense. You can teach all of those things. But talking to people in the spirit world is what mediumship is about. And I will never be irresponsible enough to say to anybody out there, and you too can do this. Our webinars are about educating, they're about health, they're about understanding the soul, they're about understanding our spiritual goals, they're about so many things, they're about healing, but they will never, and I will never have a teaching course that will say to any of you out there, and you too can be a medium. Won't happen with me. And I'm so totally, I've forgotten the lady who said this comment, made this comment, but I'm so totally in agreement with you, because it really and truly is the blind leading the blind, and it's about people making money when they don't know what they're talking about. And the unfortunate thing is, so many people run because to join these things because they truly want to be a medium. Don't. You won't like it. It's too hard a job, I can assure you, when it's done properly. Chris.
We have a little bit more than 5 minutes left. Judith says, I've been living a challenging situation, looking after my mother, who is 100% invalid. My father, a 24-hour caretaker. I'm very willing to take my share of responsibility. Thank you for any kind of direction or hint you can give me.
Well, first of all, hats off to you. Well done. How nice of you to do this, because it is one of the toughest jobs, and especially with our parents, because as much as we might love them, we don't necessarily have the same patience with them, do we, as we might with a stranger. And also, seeing our parents going downhill in this way can be, it can be brutally distressing. So this is my advice, because I think that the behind this question that you've asked me is another question, or is another issue. You must do whatever it is that you can do without wrecking yourself. Understand that there are other people out there who should be also equally responsible. You have to learn in situations like this, as much as you don't want to say no sometimes because you want to be there and you want to help and so on. Learning to say no is key, because you are the caregiver, or you are partly the caregiver. And I think that so many caregivers make the mistake of actually giving far more than they can actually give. They give emotionally, they give uh, in so many ways spiritually, they give physically. And if you're not very careful, if you don't take care of you, and if you don't learn to say no sometimes when it's your turn to care for yourself, you will be an invalid yourself. You will not be able to help other people unless you can help yourself first. So that is my greatest tip to you. Take care of you first. Yes, I know it sounds extremely selfish what I'm saying, but we have to be selfish with ourselves first in order then to be able to help other people. And if all we're doing is draining ourselves and draining our own life force, we're eventually not going to be any good to anybody else. So, first, darling, give to your own self, take care of your own self, and rejuvenate your own self, so that when you are there and when you can give, you give in a way that is positive and does not deplete your energy. Chris.
Stacy says the light behind you looks like an angel. But also, will my oldest daughter be okay and beat her addictions and follow her path in life?
I'm asking Gregor this one. It isn't an angel, actually. It's my daughter's lamp that's it's just happened to be sitting behind me here. Um, I'm asking Gregor. You're in a very tough situation here, because sometimes you have to be really cruel to be kind. Sometimes, again, we're talking about saying no to certain things. Be careful that you don't become the enabler. Um, you're asking, will she be okay? And it's her choice. I do think that she will reach a moment. I do think she will reach a moment where she will either say, okay, I'm, I'm ready for help, or she will just go the other way and become worse and worse. And we know where that will end. So I do think that she will have at least two opportunities to take the helping hand that is offered to her, so that she can get out of this situation. But she has to want to. And at the moment, she doesn't want to. So, as a mother, my heart goes out to you. It truly does. But all you can do at the moment is watch and pray. And we shall put her in our healing book. And multiple collective prayer can really, really change things around. So that's what I'm going to be hoping for you. Yes, Chris.
I'm writing that down so we can make sure we get her in the healing book. Sherry says, I'm trying to get over something that my husband did in our relationship. Will we make it through this hurdle? And how do I put this behind me?
Well, first of all, you have to remember that we are all human beings with our faults and our failings. Uh, I think one of the differences between your husband and so many other people is that he got caught out, and maybe you've done things or said things in the past that you didn't get caught out about. I'm not suggesting that you've done anything really awful or terrible, but we are all human beings with our faults and our failings. So, coming at it from that point of view, loving and caring, and I know that you want this relationship to work, and I know that you want to put it behind you. Sometimes you'd have to look at the situation. You have to look at your husband, and you have to ask yourself, do I really want him, warts and all? think the answer, Cheryl, at the moment is yes. And if that's true, then you cannot revisit. You have to let it go and move forward. Looking to the past is not always a good thing. However, it's a matter of trust, really, isn't it? So I think that some talking and sort of building on that trust and helping him to understand that what he did was not it was not the issue anymore, that the trust and the broken trust is the issue now. And I think knowing that, being able to go forward, he needs to show you in so many different ways, and you need to encourage him to show you, not by nagging at him or not by complaining and not by worrying or reminding him or yourself about what he did, but moving forward and building that trust again. And he has to help you to do that. So a conversation between you is important, and lots of conversations and lots of talking between you is important. Also, remember this: none of us is guilt free. Things happen in relationships and they happen for reasons. Maybe we weren't paying enough attention. Maybe we didn't give enough, attention to what was going on. Maybe we let things slide. Oh, maybe we were so busy saying to the kids that we forgot about saying to our husband. So he should have been aware of that. He should have been understanding of that. He should have, you could have, you should have, on and on. Stop playing the blame game. Move forward. That's the best I can tell you. I think a consultation might be very helpful for you, but move forward and see if you can do this by yourself. Yes, Chris.
Well, Rosemary, we are at time, and there are a lot of people still wanting your time, and they have a lot of questions. So
Your choice. Your choice.
Each one of them are going to take too much time from what I'm reading in the questions. I think some of these people would really benefit from a consultation, or they can come back Saturday and see if you have time on Saturday.
Okay.
But I did want to say Starshine replied back. It was her sister's, or is her sister's 65th birthday. She said, thank you. And yes, coffee cake was her favorite.
Of all the things, I would never ever think that coffee cake. I love coffee cake, but I would never think it would be somebody's favorite. I would think it would be more chocolate or something. So, isn't that? Starshine was so happy, because that is your sister's way of saying to you, yes, it really is me. So just get on and make that coffee cake, would you? So you can all have a piece. So, well, that's great. All right, so as much as we would love to answer everyone's questions, don't give up on us. We'll be back on Saturday morning with our story time. In the meantime, you can always email us, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, or Chris, KRIS, at rosemaryaltea.com. You can also go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com, or one word, very simple. And you can, on there you can see the things that we do. You can see our webinars. Our webinars are very helpful for all of you out there who have questions and personal questions. The webinars can be extremely helpful, and we have some very positive feedback from people who come to our webinars. So it's just another thought. It's just another way that you can catch me. And our webinars last longer, so we have more time. We do go into more detail for people. So, all right. So that said, we shall see you. Thank you very much for joining us today. You are all lovely. I know you all think I'm lovely, but I think you're equally, if not more, lovely. And thank you so much for joining us each week. We really do appreciate it. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. Thank you very much, Chris, for doing all of this. And I would like to also particularly say thank you to Grail, who is always here and is always on hand to help us all, which I personally am eternally grateful for. So if I don't see you on Saturday morning, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we restream, so you'll catch us either on Facebook, on where else, Twitter, and all of that stuff. we're everywhere. So look for us, search for us. I'm very easy to find. And I hope to see you on Saturday. If I don't, well, I hope to see you whenever the next time is that you can manage to connect with us. In the meantime, please, please, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.